We're recording now, so please be comfortable with that. Okay, and welcome to our next Scouters Club. I was just doing a little preamble there mentioning that this was started as a result of COVID, and we're certainly appreciative of the engagement we've been having. So thank you for participating. Tonight, we're going to be talking more about scouting at home, continuing to share updates that have come in and learning from each other as we share experiences that have happened since last week. And also we have a special guest. Alicia was the lead on transforming the previous platform for the David Heustis Learning Centre into what it is now. And so she's going to do a demonstration and show us all of that. So we're excited for that. I'm just
Kate, I think you've accidentally muted yourself.
Okay, so I think so I don't know how I managed that. But let me go back here if I can. Oh man, this is usually Gwen drives and I do the other bits. Okay, here we go. Is it okay now? We're happy now? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just again wanted to thank everybody for participating in our Scouters Clubs. It certainly has been a nice feeling of connection and learning, and something we'll be carrying forward even after this as well. So tonight we're excited to continue sharing about scouting at home. We'll touch base on the updates that have happened since we last met. And we have Alicia joining us. She's the lead on the project for the David Heustis Learning Centre. It transitioned platforms this winter. I guess it was kind of early this year in January. And so we're excited to hear more about that and gain our confidence in the new software there. So thank you, Alicia. Rules of engagement, again, just staying consistent. So if everybody can mute your mic, like I previously demonstrated, we'll unmute when you're in the question and discussion period at the end. As well, if you're not presenting or talking, if you can turn off your video, that helps with lag. So we do have some of our participants with more rural internet. So if you're not on and we limit the number of video, it does help that. As well, if you are having problems with your internet, there's an option in the 3 ... You can turn off incoming video, so you'll still see the slides that are being presented, but you won't be trying to access the video. That will help as well if you're on a lower bandwidth. Please ask questions in the chat bar throughout the presentation. We'll address them in the discussion and question period or as it is appropriate, as we have been. It is being recorded, and we'll just kind of try to keep our questions and discussion to the topic of the day.
So, Kate, I want to apologize. It wasn't you that muted. Unlike Zoom, when you mute all, it actually mutes the host. With Zoom, it does not.
So okay, we've already had a learning moment. Go us.
So sorry about that.
It is all good. All good. So we will go through our safety moments and we'll get into some of the scouting at home stuff. We'll learn about the David Heustis, and then we'll have our discussion and open floor. So for our safety moment, again, focusing on virtual scouting, reminder of the 2 scouter rules. So all virtual interactions require 2 screened and trained scouters present. The waiting room feature in meeting platforms allows you to control this. So you can be there waiting until your other scouters have arrived before you allow youth to enter the meeting. And that's really an important feature. Again, reminding to keep your links and passwords just to those that you want in the meeting. So don't post it on a Facebook page or don't just send it in a blanket email. Make sure that the link is protected and you're protecting that space. The code of conduct, it does apply in all scouting scenarios, virtual or otherwise. Just a nice reminder that all of the behaviors and expectations translate everywhere, not just in our regular in-person meeting room. And right now it's really timely, I think, in terms of safety to be thinking about how we can support the mental health of our youth and scouters and our entire community. If you haven't been engaging with your youth already, Even if you're just going to start by sending an email to the parents, these links to some they're just little fun game things that I found through Kids Help Phone, and they're just a way to start talking a little bit about worry or maybe feeling overwhelmed and using a breathing technique, and just kind of even having a release of anger or whatever. So I wanted to show these to you because I also thought that they could be good at the start of a virtual section meeting. You may be able to, like, this one's super cute. This is the worry rocket. So you could start it, make a worry rocket, and then you could say, like, I'm worried my mom will get sick, right? That's a common one with the talk of the virus and everything. And then you guys, you can accept that, talk about it, and then now launch my rocket. And then you just you shoot the worry off, but keep the topic as something that's comfortable and not stressful to discuss. Isn't that fun? Okay, and how do I get back here? This one is the breathing balloon. So it's really similar. You breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So you kind of go with it. So breathe in, and then you exhale as the balloon deflates. So just some kind of interesting ways to kind of support mental health and start to build some of those strategies or tactics that the kids could be using. And then this vented out music one is also really cool. There's a guitar option, and there's also a drum option. I don't know what will happen here for the strut on the guitar is and it makes sound. I don't know if you can hear it because I can't because of what my setup is. But anyway, so just some little tools to help you start the conversation and support the mental health of your youth. I did find those on the Kids Help Phone website, and I have included these links in our resource place that we created in the Google Drive as well. So just a little conversation starter there for us. We've had a lot of great things going on with scouting at home and virtual scouting in our council, and I'm excited now we'll hear from, actually we have 2 stories from 13th Whitby. So Anita with the Colony, I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll also have an update from Marcel, and then we'll hear from Bevan. So there's lots of cool things that have gone on in this last week. And so, yeah, I'll have it. Anita, if you can unmute yourself and take us through your experience with the Colony.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. One of the biggest concerns I had using Zoom, having never used it before, was how I was going to get the beavers to engage on a computer screen. And so I was a little concerned about that. The first time we met, it was great. The kids really chatted and they enjoyed each other and seeing each other, and they thought that was super. The other thing was the second time we did a puppet show. I put an email out, told the parents to get the crafts just from within the house, don't have to go out and go shopping or anything like that. And we did forest friends, and they did, chipmunks, bears, and beavers and that. But the funny thing was, one of the kids did a ghost, one of the kids did a snake. So when we started the puppet play, Big Brown Beaver started, and he was in the woods and he was cutting the tree, and all of a sudden he heard a scary sound. And then of course Max jumps in with his ghost, and they kept continuing on. Most of the time I didn't even have to say their name to continue on. They just did it, and it worked out great, and they really enjoyed it. So me being worried about the kids engaging on Zoom, it worked out great. The beavers were really engaged, and now I have more than half my group attending, which is really super. The other thing we're doing is personal achievement badges. When we put it out there, I wasn't really getting a lot of feedback. So what I did was I said, okay, this week we're going to do musical beaver. And I put out the 3 adventures that they could do. Send me a short little video on one on dancing, you singing, and either playing an instrument or making one. And they did, and they really got engaged. And so now they're doing the personal achievement badges, which is really great. So they really seem to be, really engaging, and Zoom is really working for me, which I'm really surprised. The other thing is what I learned this week, and probably most of you know, but thank you, June. She told me that you can actually mute everybody, but you can actually click on each child so that they can talk, so that it's not like chaos and everything. So it worked out well. So Zoom is working, so give it a shot. You can, you know, talk to another scouter and kind of do a practice run so you can see how it's working for you and that, but it worked out really great. So we're really happy about it. So there you go. Thank you. That's it, Kate.
Okay, thank you. And Marcel.
Hey, everybody. So last night we did a bit of an experiment. I had early, about a couple of months ago, just when this had whole thing started, I was expressing some disappointment that we didn't get a chance to race the cars, or the Cub cars. And so I was talking to Craig Rendell, and he was working on upgrading his track, as he's been posting on Facebook, and he's done some amazing things with the track. So we started talking over the phone and thought, well, maybe if two of us could set up and have the Cubs drop off their cars to my house, I would, you know, put on gloves and I'd sanitize them, and then we could, the two of us, keeping our social distance and wearing appropriate PPE, could we have a live show on Zoom? So we did it.
4 cameras on the track.
So we had 4 cameras on the track. We had, I had one of the scouters on with a spreadsheet that I had set up to make sure that he was tracking the races
At home.
at his house. It was all live on Zoom, and the kids had a blast. We raced the cars. We got to see who the best ones were. We took time to show them the craftsmanship in each of the cars. And for me, one of the highlights was one of our Cubs, his father works in a distribution center for Sobeys. So they've been working their tails off to try and make sure groceries end up in the stores. And he hasn't been able to attend our meetings. And his son as well has not attended. So his son, because he knew that we were racing, joined so that he could see his father's car race against me. And I'll have to say,
And his own car.
he beat me, and he's seen his own car run. Anyway, but it was a blast. So that's my update. It went so well. It was amazing. And so I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I mean, it was an amazing success, and we were able to do it safely. So
That's fantastic. That's awesome. And did you record it with all these cameras on the track?
I think we forgot to record it.
You mean there's a record button?
The memory lives on. The memory lives on.
I think we had intentions, but for whatever reason, all of us forgot to do it. We got hyped up into the whole thing. And anyway, but kids had a great time.
Oh, that is so great. And thanks for sharing. That's really creative and awesome. Super engaging. Okay, and Bevan.
Good afternoon. I have to admit that I did the same thing, that I had intended to record the investiture meeting, but of course I forgot because I got so involved in it, and luckily somebody else did. So on Monday night, we actually invested in a new leader, as well as a new beaver that has been kind of kicking around, and we haven't had the chance to invest him. Kate, I don't know whether, have you got access to those pictures that I sent you? Because I'm not sure how to do that.
I just put the little guy up here.
Okay.
I didn't take the screenshot of the gallery view, but I put the Beaver Scout up here.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, one of the things we did with the investiture for the leader is that I had dropped off a flag before we put the program together, so that I had a flag at this end, he had a flag at the other end, and I tried to. And if we ever did it again, I would do it with a sorry. With a little bit of a rehearsal beforehand, because the intent was that I would kind of hand the flag through the screen over to the youth at the other end. It was close, but it didn't quite make it. But the idea was there so that it looked like it was, and we did the same thing with the badges, so that it looked like I was actually presenting them to them. We did the handshake at the end, so it actually went really well, and I think everybody was pleased with it. And we did it for, like I say, for one of the Beavers as well. So a good time was had by all, and hopefully, if anybody else has got some investors to do, they can follow suit. That's it for me.
Yeah, and that was a scouter and a youth, so it was really great, and I loved the creativity. So we're gonna try and shorten the video and show that as well, so it can be a bit of inspiration for everybody, because it was definitely creative and very cool.
Thank you.
We talked a bit about of recognition on one of these calls, and it was, I think, just a good example of how you can be creative about it with thinking about, oh, here you go, and then the other person receiving, and you know, on the video screen, it does look like there's a bit of connection. So it's pretty neat to see this all coming together. So we didn't have many questions submitted specific for scouting at home. So the only one that did come in was, is the Scout Scene email going to all of the members? And yes, it is. So that email is being distributed to all active members in Scouts Canada. So that should also be received by the parents. We do know that the click rate is relatively low on those constant contact style of emails. Sometimes they go to junk, sometimes they get filtered. So if you are able to digest it and send it out directly to your parents from your, from your email, or send the link to the website with the theme for the week through a personalized email, then that's a way to ensure that they're getting the content, but it is delivered to all members for sure. Some updates, I think everybody has seen them by now, but if you haven't, you can find the full list of information on the Scouts Canada website. It's scouts.ca, it's right there at the top. You can just click for COVID action updates. But all of Scouts Canada's properties have been closed through August 31st. The list of suspended actions has been extended through May 31st. And for those that have their bookings in the Durham School Board District, you will have received note that those permits have been canceled for the remainder of the school year. And the booking dates or getting in on scheduling permits for next year is to be announced. So there's not much update by way of what action we can take for securing our school spaces in that school board next scouting year, but we'll certainly be sharing and working together with everybody as soon as we do hear anything more in that front. One of the things that we've been talking about as well in this community is having a virtual way of sharing best practices. So as these virtual scouting meetings are taking place, how can we share meeting plans, activities, songs that worked well, things like that. So I have created a Google Drive. So it's here. And so you can see Scouter Pie sent us this. So we've got I started collecting the files here. If you have, I created this file here and have been putting where people have been sending us information. So if you bookmark the link to this drive, which I'll include in the follow-up email that I send with the recording from this, we're starting to put the information that we've been sharing and collecting in here. And this is where I put the links to those tools that we looked at the beginning as well. So this is open to the public in terms of being able to edit the file. So if you have something, just come on in here, add it, edit it. You can also upload a file into this space. And I've also created a folder. So if you have success stories, or you have pictures or things of your youth and what your sections are doing and the great work in the community, you can upload them here and we can share them on social. We can share them with the national communications team, things like that. Just please make sure that you're including a write-up with it so that we know who to go to for more information. But this was something that we talked about as a brainstorm. So we're going to try it and see how this is working. The Ear Savers template is here that Terry shared with us. And as well, we've had a few people connecting for different things. So there was a Scouts group in Africa that was open to having some pen pals, things like that. And somebody also was asking about Australia. So anything, if you have connections for other countries or things that are of interest to other people, feel free to put them in here. And we'll just kind of see how this goes. It's a place to start. And again, that Google Drive link is open for everyone to edit. So I'm going to turn it over now to Alyssa. No, not Alyssa, Alicia. And let her share her screen. And she will move us into the David Heustis Learning Centre discussion.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great evening. It was really, really great to kind of be part of your beginning of this meeting and hearing about all the cool stuff you're doing. Yeah, it's really cool. And so my name is Alicia Gulejski. I have been working with Scouts Canada for over 5 years now, and I was the project manager for the implementation of our new David Heustis Learning Centre. So we launched this new platform in November of last year, and yeah, so I basically, so thank you so much for inviting me to kind of come talk to you. So I'm going to share my screen in a second, but I just want to kind of walk through what I'm going to be going through. So first I'm going to show kind of like what the learner experience is for a new section scouter. Kind of how they can go and access your scouting fundamentals and kind of going through the platform. And then I'm going to kind of switch views to what a group commissioner sees, and how a group commissioner can then go and use the different tools like the learner progress tool to kind of see where section scouters in your group, kind of how far along they are in their learning, as well as yeah, just pointing to different some resources as well on the online support center as well. And so yeah, and if you guys have any questions, either you kind of use the chat. I'll also kind of briefly stop in natural moments as well and see if anybody has any questions. Yeah, so let me just share my screen here. This 1 second here. And if you see me kind of looking this way, looking down, I've got some notes down here. I've got another screen over here. So let's just see here. Screen 2. Okay. So are you able to see my screen here? I'm going to start off with
Yes, we can.
perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to start off with My Scouts. So the way that you access the Learning Center, just like before, is through your My Scouts profile. So just in case, I'm sure you know, I'll just kind of show you where the button is. And the way that the new system is set up is that the learning that you are enrolled into the Learning Center. So specifically for Wood Badge 1, because there's different Wood Badge 1 depending on your role. It's the way that you're enrolled into the learning that is relevant to your role is through the primary role that is on your My Scouts profile. So for example, if there's a section scouter, make sure that they have, there's kind of, whether they're colony scouter or pack or whatever it may be, is their primary role. And it's even more important for group commissioners. If you want access to these extra tools that are available because you are a group commissioner, your primary role in your My Scouts needs to be the group commissioner role. So if you're not seeing the kind of the same things that I am, that's usually the first place to look. Yeah, so as when you're on your My Scouts profile, the new David Heustis Learning Centre button is right down there. So when as you click on there, I'm going to just switch my screen. You will land on the David Heustis Learning Centre here. So this is just a test user I've created for today's presentation. So I've called him Malik the New Scouter. And so this is like a brand new scouter. They haven't completed any training. So this is the experience that they'll have. So along the top kind of navigation bar here, we've added a link back to My Scouts. Awards here is where the learner will be able to see all of the completed learning that they've completed. This one's a brand new one, so I'll switch to another user so you'll see kind of what it looks like later. But this is where you can kind of track where your learning is overall. In the learner progress tool, so here is where scouters can see if they want to kind of look at their own progress. Again, here, Malik, this one we've not completed anything yet, so we'll come back to kind of see how this is updated once we kind of go through some of the learning. In the Discover tool here, this is where any additional learning will appear. As we create more and more courses and have other different learning content available, this is where you'll be able to enroll into new courses. So for example, we have one right now, it's called Working Together, Deaf and Hearing People. So if anybody wants to kind of complete this course, you just click on it, and there's a little bit of information about what this course is all about. And you simply just say, click enroll in course. And then you'll get this little pop-up saying, successful enrollment. And then when you return to the Learning Centre, and anywhere you are on the platform, if you click on the Scouts Canada logo up here, it'll bring you back to the main kind of homepage here. So you'll be able to see that course is appearing here right now. So this is kind of like an optional one. So in this My Courses widget as you can see, all of the courses that the learner or the Scouter is enrolled in. So automatically, when they log in through My Scouts, they'll have Scouting Fundamentals and then Wood Badge 1 course here. So let's start with Scouting Fundamentals. Before we do that, there's also a little on the right little widget that has different announcements. So everybody will see this kind of like, welcome to the David Heustis Learning Centre. And there's a couple of different information here with links to the online support center as well. That's good there. So let's start with going into the Scouting Fundamentals. Or let's just pause here actually. Is there any specific questions on the home page here? All right. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat. So starting with Scouting Fundamentals. So this page here is just kind of like the course homepage. So there's a little announcement here, just kind of giving a little bit more instructions to how to access the course. So it says, there's 6 sessions to complete. Get started by clicking on Content from the top navigation bar. Here's just a kind of a quick overview of the different, sessions that are part of this Scouting Fundamentals course. The best way is just to kind of click on Content to access the learning content. So you'll see here, there is on the left kind of a table of contents. So from here, you're able to, jump to various sections and sessions for this course. So you can see here, session 1, session 2, and you'll be able to see as well a little progress bar as well. So as you kind of click through, this progress bar will complete, and you'll be able to track, kind of where you are along the course. So when you click in through, for example, Welcome to Scouting. It'll just take a moment to load here. You can click play, and then you'll have the the course play. There's different kinds of content that kind of come through in here. So there's ones that are kind of like little videos that are embedded into the Learning Center like this. There's other ones which are a little bit larger that open up in another tab. So they're just kind of, once you complete that, you return here, and to go to the next topic within the session, you just use these navigation bars right here. This little icon here is adds a little bookmark. So if you're going through the learning and there's something really, really interesting that you want to kind of come back to later or just reference it, you can just click this bookmark bar, and it'll show you in a second where you'll be able to kind of jump back to this piece of content. So I'm just gonna click next here, and so there's different learning outcomes, and you just kind of progress through the course. So right here, we've got a kind of like a breadcrumb navigation. So I'm able to, jump back go back to the table of contents, or just kind of come back to the main page for session 1. So I'm just going to return here. And you can see that, I've gone through these 2 parts. So I get a little check mark for those, and it updates the progress bar here as well. So for every time when you complete a full session, the Scouter will get a little badge icon under the awards. So in the awards here, you'll be able to see So I'm clicking on awards. Just let it load here. So right now I've not earned any awards. So there's two little tabs here. So there's my awards and then view available awards. So here is where we can see all of the awards that are part of this course. So here's all the individual badges for sessions 1 to 6. And then once you complete all 6 sessions, then you get the Scouting Fundamentals certificate. And then Respect in Sport is part of the Scouting Fundamentals as well. So you'll get the badge here as well. So I will, I'll show you I'm going to switch to a user I have open here. So here's Malik. So for this specific user, our learner, I have, he's completed all of the Scouting Fundamentals. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like for when you've completed the course. So if Malik's kind of going in, the announcement has now, there's a new announcement that's come up, say, congratulations, Malik. And you can see that, you know, I've achieved these awards. And when this Malik goes to his awards, you'll be able to see, he's got Wood Badge 1 as well, but you'll be able to see all of the different badges that appear here. Now, there's this way to kind of look for it, but sometimes it's hard to, like, if you're missing a session, you're not quite sure, you know, which one's missing. So what's really helpful is using this view available awards. So here I can see the check marks for all of the sessions. So for example, if, you know, session 3 wasn't completed, there'd be no check mark, obviously, and then I'd know to kind of, that's the one session I need to complete. Are there any specific questions?
Yeah, a quick one.
Yeah.
Is session 4 replaced by Respect in Sport?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
And so here, since we're on things, so I'm going just back to the content page. So you can see here, Respect in Sport. So for this one, Malik's like he's got the award here. So what happens as well, so another way that you can indicate that if you've completed a session in the learning content above wherever the session is. So here, let's just go, I'll come back to Respect and Sport in a second. So in session 1, this specific one I've kind of awarded him in the back end. So anywhere you see, you'll have this, you've earned this award. This was really useful for the scouters or any of the volunteers who started their training in the old system and have come over to the new system. And if they're kind of in the middle of their training, all of the completed learning that happened in the old system, the individual, like all of the badges and for the individual sessions were automatically kind of brought into the new system. So you can see here, this user like actually hasn't completed all of this in this session, but they still have the award. How did that happen? Is because they've done it in the old session. And so you'll be able to see, so if you haven't, I mean, if you haven't kind of come back into the new Learning Centre, you'll be able to see that all of your training is in fact brought over by looking at the awards. So as I showed here, the awards. Another quick thing I wanted to show was the ability to share your award. So this, I encourage you to encourage your scouters when they complete a full, you know, either the Scouting Fundamentals and Respect in Sport as well, to go to just the awards page within the course and then click on share and say share to your profile. I'll show you when we're into the GC view why this is very, very useful for you. So I will just close that now and we'll come back to that in a moment. So I'm going to return to the new Scouter. Ding. So now I'm in Malik New Scouter, back to the new one. And I'm going to now go into, oh, wait, there's one thing I wanted to show you in terms of Respect in Sport. So for Respect in Sport here, to access Respect in Sport, the Scouters just click on this link and it will take you to the Respect in Sport site where it'll happen. The same experience will happen as in the old system, where they'll be able to, create an account and or link it to an existing account if they've done Respect in Sport elsewhere, and kind of go through and complete Respect in Sport. Nothing has changed in that kind of sense. Now, because this is an external link, and so once the Scouters complete Respect in Sport, there's a kind of in the back end, it sends over the completion, and it sends over the badge and the award to kind of appear into the profile. And so this one is the only one where Scouters or anyone is able to manually check it off. Now, this is the only kind of way we could do this. We couldn't. There was no way to kind of set it up so it would automatically give the check mark in this system. If you've done it on the old one, only the award can kind of come over. So we've had some Scouters, or some individuals kind of check this off prematurely, not on purpose or anything, but thinking that they were completed the learning, but they weren't in fact completed. So the only way that you'll be able to really track if they've completed the learning, I've just switched back over to the Malik who has completed it, and I'm going to just open up his Respect in Sport. So you'll see this, you have earned this award, you have completed it. That's your their notes or notice like that they've actually the completion's there and everything's working. Are there any questions along that or anything else?
There's a question just about Respect in Sport. Is it free? Is the course free now? And do we want to do the expiry date then as well now?
Yeah, so I will show you how the expiry date looks in a moment. The course is still the same price, $30. Like it hasn't, that nothing about that has changed.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go back to the new learner, Malik, the new Scouter. And next I wanted to show you the Wood Badge 1. So I'm going to click on the Scouts Canada logo to kind of bring me back to the home page. And then click on Wood Badge 1 here. And I will show you one thing. Let me see here. No, never mind. Okay, perfect. So I'm in the new section Scouter profile. So when I click on Wood Badge 1, again, it'll bring me to this the Wood Badge 1 kind of course homepage, where again there'll be a little announcement saying, welcome to Wood Badge 1. Click on content to begin, and oh, I was going to show you the bookmarks. I'll go back to that in a second. So I'm going to click on content to begin up here. And so this is what a section Scouter will see. So they'll automatically be enrolled into Wood Badge 1 for the Canadian Path. As a group commissioner, you'll be enrolled into Wood Badge 1 for group commissioners. And if you're part of the committee, you'll be enrolled into Wood Badge 1 for group committee. So for, I've got other things. So I was playing around here before. So what they would really see is just the beginning slide here. So using the table of contents, you can getting started for section Scouters. So here's just an outline of kind of how they can get started. And so there's two ways that you can complete your Wood Badge 1 for the Canadian Path. The first one is using the Scouter development map and the Scouter development kind of self-assessment. I'll go through that in a moment. Or just go through the table of contents, and we'll talk about this in a moment. Just go through and just complete all of the sessions as you wish and kind of go through. We do recommend that because section Scouters have the first year of scouting, the whole year to complete it. So we recommend that that section Scouters, they don't just sit down and go through the 5 or 6 hours of the e-learning all at once, because it's very, very hard to retain that information. And so we recommend just choosing like maybe just a few sessions to go through, and then go to the meetings and apply what you learned, or talk to, you know, the group commissioner about it, or a support scouter or somebody else that you can kind of really take what you've learned and either apply it or talk about it and be able to kind of learn that way. Because it's very, very hard. There's a lot to go through, especially if you're, you know, new to scouting. There's a lot to go through. So we just want to make sure that it's not something that you just kind of click through, but you're actually learning and actually kind of building confidence in order to facilitate a really, really great program. So let's start off with the Scouter development map. So this is what we've built in is kind of like a self-assessment. So this Scouter development kind of self-assessment, there's a little bit of instructions here as well. So it's essentially using kind of like 3 kind of stages of learning. So you kind of start off with like based on, you know, different skills or competencies, like you don't know, you know, what you don't know. You don't know about it. There's another stage where it kind of says, I know, but, you know, I can kind of describe the skill, but I'm not quite sure, you know, how to, you know, do what I need. I need a major support. Stage 3 is like I can do it. I have you know, I can think through the skills. I can demonstrate it. I can describe it. And stage 4 is like I have done it. I have shown, you know, demonstrated that I can do the skill with little or no support. So in order to here, I'm going to, here's the quiz that Section Scouters can do, but I'm just going to bring up the Scouter Development Map resource just to show you. You might have seen this before. Let me know if you have. So I'm just going to make it like a full screen. So for Wood Badge, to achieve your Wood Badge 1 learning milestones for the Canadian Path, there's these skills and competencies that have been identified in order to achieve the Wood Badge 1. So and you can see here which learning stage the Scouter should be at in order to achieve the Wood Badge 1. So here's like stage 3 for these competencies and skills, and then at a I know stage for the rest of these ones here. So I'm going to go back here. So this kind of self-assessment is good for Scouters who are either moving, you know, sections maybe, and they've completed like the old Wood Badge, like the section specific stuff that was in the old program prior to the Wood Badge 1 for the Canadian Path. And so because they're now, you know, switching sections, they need to do their Wood Badge, or if they just have experience, they've been a youth through the program, and so they understand like the scouting culture and and they have their own skills just going through the program. And so this way is a way to kind of assess your skills and competencies, like doing a self-assessment and being just automatically awarded for the knowledge that you already have and the experience that you already have. So what I just did is I clicked on that self-assessment link, and here you'll see there's just a little bit of information. It's essentially like a quiz that you do on your own. So I'm just going to kind of scroll down here. There's a little bit of information. You can do it a limited amount of times. And at the bottom here, you just say start quiz. So this is as well something that support Scouters can do. You can do with Scouters, kind of walking them through this if you want, or they can go ahead and do this first, and then you can have a conversation about it. So essentially what happens, so there's the 14 different skills that we saw on the Scouter development map. And each one is just, what the skill is, what the competency statement is, and then you select, which stage that you feel that you're at. So for example, I'd be like, oh, I can do this, and then you can go to like the next competency, facilitate a scout meeting. You know what? No, I haven't. I don't know about this. Next page, adventure. You know what? I have, and whatever it may be. And then you don't necessarily have to complete the full quiz, because the beauty about this is a scouter can kind of start off and say like, oh, I don't know, I know. And then as you either, go to maybe a ScoutCon workshop, or you're actually demonstrating the skill or learning from a scouter in the section. So you can kind of come back and say like, okay, I know about program quality assessments now. I've had a session with the support scouter or a fellow scouter. And so now, I'm at the I know stage here. So when you're done, going through whichever skills that you want to provide your assessment on, you can click submit quiz. For ones that you haven't answered, this is just kind of lets you know, but that's okay. I know. I just wanted like the first 4 in here. So I'm going to say submit quiz. So what happens now, and here, I guess this just shows me, what I've selected. So I'm just going to click the X there. And when I go back, I can always go back and look at, what I clicked on the different, the self-assessment. So what I'm going to do is just return back. I'm going to say the scouting fundamentals here. Or not scouting fundamentals, sorry, scouter development map. And so what's going to happen in the back end for the competencies that I selected, the stage that satisfies that Wood Badge 1 requirement, I'm going to automatically get awarded those badges in that completion. And what happens with the other ones is there's this action plan for skills development appears, and so all of the ones that I didn't meet the thresholds of the learning stage to achieve what I needed to for Wood Badge 1, you get these kind of like action plans out. So I can either click on here and say things. So you can see here, I'm pausing. When you complete or a session, or when you're awarded a badge, it takes a few moments. You saw that it took like a moment there, but then you'll have this pop-up come up, which you might have seen for the ones. So I've for that program quality guide, I said I got it good. The patrol system was good, and adventure was good. So I've got those 3 there now. So now for the action plan, when I clicked on facilitate a scout meeting, it just says here, okay, for this one, I need to be at stage 3. I can, and currently it just points to the meeting or the session that is in the learning center for that specific skill or competency. So eventually, like if we have other opportunities or maybe workshops or other videos, I want to be able to we'll list them here for different options to learn, because of course e-learning is not the only way to learn, and so want to make sure anything happens in person or by learning by doing, that also it satisfies that you're learning and that you have that level of competency that's required for Wood Badge 1. So here I'm able to just jump to how to facilitate a meeting, and then go through and complete what I need to kind of get that session. And you'll notice as well, so we had what, adventure. So adventure, I said I was good. So if you're then going through and completing some e-learning, this one I've achieved that through the Scouter Development Assessment. So when I land on here, it says I have one thing to do, but I have this notification that I've already completed. I can go through and review it if I want, but you can go ahead and onto the next skill and competency. I know that was kind of a lot in a moment, but I just wanted you to kind of get an understanding of how section scouters use the self-assessment quiz as well. Yeah, is there any specific questions?
Can you just review how to get into this tab again from the, I guess, Scouter and GC, like just how to find it in the first place?
This tab.
Like getting into the development map again, just back it up to how we get to here.
Sure. So it's here. So in the table of contents on the left, so when you first kind of come in, you go here. So there's a Scouter development map here. And here is where this Scouter Development Map assessment. So here is the link to go into the quiz here. And then I've just clicked like here where just kind of go back. I can either click here to go back, or, you know, click content, and it'll bring me back to where it was as well. So there's a few different ways to do that. Is that what you were looking for, Bevan? Okay, I hope so. You'll see here as well, I've got a little like notification here. So I can also see here that I've earned, you know, the awards for these 3 here. And let me see what else I wanted to go here. And
Question.
oh, yeah.
Because it defaults to your primary role, and say my primary role is group commissioner, but I want to go and do fundamentals.
Yeah.
I can't see on mine anywhere to actually do a different, to do fundamentals.
Do you mean
Not fundamentals, so Canadian Path.
Woodbine for Canadian Path? Yeah, for sure. So I'll show you as well in a second. I was trying to see if there's anything else here. So I'm going to, is it on this one here? I think if I should do it here. So, okay, I will show you. So the way that you can access the Woodbine for Canadian Path is through this additional learning tab. And so I'll show you here. This is a section scouter, so I'll switch to the group commissioner one in a second. The one you see here, so I see they're automatically enrolled in Wood Badge 1 Canadian Path for colony scouters. And so in the content, you will see that, sorry, I'm clicking here. When I go to, for example, you know, how to facilitate spices, I see the scenario and section specific content for colony scouters. Going to additional learning, this is where anyone, whether you're a GC or, you know, a section scouter, could kind of go add additional learning, essentially. So I click here on this button here, it says view additional learning. And so here I can go down, and basically on this side it says Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path. This is one to get, you know, access to all learning. We have the little thing we need to fix. There's a cap onto these they're called groups, I guess, to enroll of 200 people, which is, we have a lot more learners than that. So we're working to resolve that. So we just kind of added an additional way to do that. But I just wanted to show you one thing. So for example, I wanted this colony scouter is going to, you know, move up to pack and wants to get additional, you know, section specific, pack specific, some scenarios. So all you do is here, I can see, you know, pack scouters, you know, working with cub-aged youth. I can say add to my learning next to here. So when you click on this, it'll say it's successful. And I can see now here I have, you know, both colony and pack stuff. So when I go back to the content, you'll see that now I have access to pack as well. So I'm going to switch now to what a GC sees and show you that. So I'm going to log out here. And just a quick note, if you ever log out through the Learning Centre, you have to go back through My Scouts to access your Learning Centre. This login, like, because you won't, the password that is set for your the Learning Centre profile is not the same as your My Scouts. It was automatically generated through like the sign-on that happens between My Scouts and the Learning Centre. Just so you're aware of that. So I'm just going to go to my Malik the GC. So I can log in through here, but nobody else can, so I'm sorry. So we'll go straight into Wood Badge 1. So you'll be able to see and into content. So this is Malik the GC. So he's got getting started for group commissioners. So there's all of the content, you know, that you need to do as part of Wood Badge 1 for group commissioners will be here. If I wanted access now to that, the Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path, I would go to additional learning and view additional learning, and then go and join in any of these groups. So I'll access to just give me all of this different section content. So I click add to my learning, and now I can see, okay, perfect, I have that. So when I go back to the content now, I've got all of the group commissioner stuff will still be there, but it'll just add in the section scouter, the group badge one for for Canadian Path content. So here, look, scouter development map. And so you can go ahead and do it yourself. And I encourage you to just kind of see what that experience is like, and to go through the course, the quiz self-assessment yourself. Is there any other questions at this point? About any of this?
How again do we, sorry, it's Randy.
Randy.
How do we look at other scouters as a GC?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to go back to the homepage. I'm going to start with show you the scouting fundamentals, because I want to show you that the respected sports stuff. So this learner progress is where you do it. If you go to your learner progress from the home page, you get your own learner progress for the courses. So I can see scouting fundamentals, and then the wood badge one as well. So if you wanted to see like your own kind of learning progress, you can kind of click through here and see what you've done, what you haven't done. This one hasn't really done much in a second, but I'll show you how to look at other people's progress. So I'm just clicking on the logo here to come back to this home page, and I'm going to access Scouting Fundamentals. So in order to see a scouter's progress within a specific course, you have to go to that course. So whether if you're checking for Scouting Fundamentals, go to Scouting Fundamentals, Wood Badge, go to Wood Badge, and then click on this learner progress. So now this is now what you see. So so here you can have access to all of the learners. There is no way for us in the short term to be able to filter just on the scouters in your group. We're trying to figure out if there's a way to do that. So the way that you'd bring them up is in the search bar here. I would bring up, you can either say, write their full name, or you can also use their member number, because I'm sure there are, a lot of people that have the same name as well. So just to be able to know you're looking at the correct John Smith that used their member number. So I'm just going to click search here. So you can see my the Malik the Scouter, the one that I've kind of completed stuff, and then the new Scouter as well. So do you remember when we clicked to share the badge? So you can see here in Malik, the new Scouter, he hasn't shared anything. So there's nothing that kind of appears here. So I'm just hovering over his little icon here. If I hover over this Malik the Scouter, you can see all of the different badges that Malik has shared. So here, this will give you like a really quick view of what milestones or what sessions that they have completed. And so because, especially when that switch from, if there's some learning that happened in the old system and some in the new, here it might say, they've only completed 5 out of 25 things, but actually they have their, scouting fundamentals. So the progress that we see here is the progress or the learning that has been accessed in this learning center. So there's no way for us to, kind of track put 100% for learning that they did in the old system. And this is kind of, it's got a double-edged sword, I guess, because it's good because they say like, okay, what have they, done in this session? So I can see here, I can click here, and I encourage you honestly just to go in and just click around and see what happens. I can see here that, we had 2 visits, back in December, and, we've kind of did this, skip through this, so you can kind of see, I can see that, the Scouter, the last access was, today. So, oh, that's great. So what this is great is, if you have a section Scouter and you've had them to, go ahead and start your learning. So you can see here if they've accessed it or not, kind of like when they, when was the last time they were in. If you see that, oh, this Scouter hasn't been in the past, week, I'm going to follow up and just to see if they need help, if like there's anything I can help coach them with. Maybe they're not sure kind of what to do. So this kind of gives you a little bit more details in that sense as well. So I'll show you one thing though, in terms of the wood respect and sport. I can't do it with this test user, but I'm going to bring up my own Alicia Guleski. So I've shared the respect and sport badge through my thing. So my GC or whoever wants to kind of take a look at it, if they click on the icon here, you'll be able to see. So the certificate was completed. Expiry date, you'll be able to see the expiry date that for the respect and sport here, and then also the issue date and their certificate number. But you can only see this if they go into their awards and they share this to their profile. So I really recommend if this is the way you'd want to kind of take a look and kind of keep track on that, this is how you can kind of find that information. Is there any questions? Oh, why is it so? Just the way that the system works, there's like we're looking in to see if there's a way to kind of automatically share the award, but just right now it just wasn't possible. Like it's just something that the learner or the Scouter just has to do on their own. Is there any other questions? Yeah, Gwen, I think so. That's a good point. So I wanted to see here, learner progress. Yeah, so we kind of went through here. I'll show you actually one other thing through this learner. So that was learner progress for Scouting Fundamentals. I'm going to jump into Wood Badge 1. And so when I go to learner progress here, it's going to look exactly the same, but it's going to, oh, sorry, I gotta click there a little bit better. So this time I'm going to bring up Malik, the new Scouter, because we did that quiz for a little bit here. So you can see here there's, he's kind of completed 0 out of 6, but we know that he has actually completed some things. So I'm going to click on Malik, the new Scouter. And here, so there's no kind of objective set in Scouting Fundamentals. It's just pure content that you go through. But because here we have the ability to the self-assessment quiz, you'll see these objectives here. So I can see now that Malik has passed 3 and still needs 11 other skills in order to achieve the full Wood Badge 1 learning milestone. So I just clicked on this title here, and it shows me the 3 that this Scouter has said that they have achieved that kind of learning stage in order to think. So here you can say, you can kind of have a conversation. If the Scouter has, could use a little bit more about, the patrol system, that they don't quite have that that experience, you can have that conversation and kind of figure out how to, provide some opportunities for them to do so. And so I can see here, oh, there's things. Sorry, I just clicked on there. So this is a kind of another view. So I can see that they've passed, these 3, and they still need, these are the ones that they still need to kind of complete because they haven't kind of said it. And in terms, I'm just clicking on content from here. You can see that I didn't really go through anything for this user, but I'm going to just go back to learner progress, and I'll just show you the difference really quick with the other Malik, the Scouter. So this was the other one. Oh no, I haven't done anything with him either. But he's gone through and completed the all of the self-assessment, and said that they've you know they have that like that level of competency that is required to achieve your Wood Badge 1 for the Canadian Path. Let's see. That's how our systems work. Is there any other specific questions around here? Just looking at my little notes while if there's anything else I want to kind of show you here. Things. Okay, so I wanted to share with you everything, pretty much, yeah, everything that I've kind of gone through. We've created online support center articles. So here's, I'm just going to put it into the chat here. So, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. If not, you've got the link there now. So the online support center, if you go here for Scouters, there is and just right on the left here, the new David Heustis Learning Centre information. So I'm going to click on that title there. And here I have all different kind of articles. So these are tutorials, how-tos, FAQs about the new Learning Centre. Ones that are would be really good, I'd like to highlight, of how to access volunteer screening. It's done through essentially just through the additional learning. Malik, the GC, already has access to it, but if any of your Scouters need to do it, so tell them to go additional learning, view additional learning, and then scroll down past the sections over here. So volunteer screening, it's your duty. So I would add that to my learning, and it would automatically give access to the learning content, which is already here, and it's on the table of contents right down here. Volunteer screening, it's our duty. So this is learning that you have to complete in order to be an interviewer. So there's the videos there. And going back to the Learning Center, so that's a good one to share. This one's like just a FAQ questions. Here's just kind of how to navigate. So that kind of first thing that I kind of went through of the kind of the navigation bar, how the homepage is set up. Here, there's an article about how to just use the awards, of how to kind of use the awards to see, kind of which sessions you have completed. This was more as well kind of a learning for when you're switching from the old one to the new one. There's a lot of questions of I don't know if my training's been brought over, and this is the way that are able to verify going forward. And so I'm just going to click back. There's also how to share your awards. So this is a great one to share with your section Scouters as well, giving them step-by-step instructions. And then about scouting fundamentals. And here I've had questions of like, how do we know? I want just like a list of how we know for which, badges to look out for. So here's just kind of broken down of what's included in Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path, for committee, and for commissioners. So you just kind of click there, and so it just shows you, visually which ones are required to achieve the Wood Badge 1 learning milestones for the various parts here. So you can see you can achieve by either using the Scouter Development Assessment or completing the e-learning session, how to facilitate spices, for example. So that just kind of goes through all of the different ones, which are also, switch back to the Learning Center. In the awards, so they correspond to the badges you get here. I'm going to go view available awards, and here you'll be able to see the full learning milestones, and then here the individual sessions that things. This is the GC Malik, so you can see here he's completed these sessions, and they're kind of color coded as well. So all of the Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path are in green, blue are group committee, and then the gray ones are group commissioner. If I'm going to scroll back here, they kind of align with the certificate that you get for completing the individual sessions as part of that Wood Badge learning milestone. So I'm going to go back to the Learning Center. I'm just going to go back to that list and just highlight Was there another good one? So here there's just kind of step-by-step about just accessing the different learning content. Here is about getting that additional learning, so adding the different ones. And then here is kind of a step-by-step as well for using that learner progress tool. So kind of how to access that learner progress and kind of what all the different buttons and things that you can do. So I strongly recommend to kind of look through here, share these resources with your scouters who need a little bit of help, and yeah, and thanks. So I'm just gonna look, was there any other, Kate sent me a few, yeah, questions. Was there anything that you guys wanted to know that I didn't quite cover? Awesome. So I'll stop sharing my screen for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it's a lot of information, but thankfully it's recorded, so you can always go back and you've got access to the articles as well. And I also want to strongly recommend, if you have any issues or any questions or something's happening that's weird, or session's not completing when you've completed it, contact the help center, or reach out to Kate. But the help center, the folks there, they have access to the back end of the learning center, where they're able to really go in and take a look at what's happening, be able to log a ticket if something needs to be fixed. We want to know about it, because if you're experiencing issues, maybe other people are as well. So we can really kind of help you figure that out. So definitely, yeah, log a thing with submit a request with the help center, and they'll be able to help you out as well.
There were a couple different questions around wood badge, so I'm not sure if people are comfortable with that, but around clarifying, is the wood badge loaded according to your primary role, and then how do you access a different wood badge? Maybe do we need to review that again, Anya and June? Are you guys okay? You're there. I guess it doesn't hurt just to do it, just to show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, depending on your primary role in My Scouts, so everybody will get this wood badge. So in the additional learning is where you can see which wood badge you are, like, this is the learning milestone you've been assigned to. So this is a group commissioner, so we have group commissioner, and so we went through the view additional learning in order to add the additional, whether it's section specific or content for Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path. If you want volunteer screening, this one's already in group committee, but if you want group commissioners, there's the button here. If you want Wood Badge 1 for group committee as a section scouter, if they want to complete some of these sessions, by all means they can also go ahead and add to the learning. So I'm just going to scroll back up to the top, and if I want to just kind of go back, I can go back to what it was here. You can always remove learning as well. If I was just like, oh, I wanted to go see, what was this whole Wood Badge 1 Canadian Path, work on the quiz. If you complete learning and you come here and remove learning, it's your progress and everything you've done is still saved. So if you were to come back and add this back again, it'll just kind of show where things, oh, here, your progress will be saved. So you can always kind of go back as well. Does that help a little bit with the question?
Yeah.
Cool.
And crucial conversations, how do we access that? That one is under, yeah.
So the crucial conversations is part of Wood Badge 1 for group commissioners. So if you have access to group commissioners, so as part of Wood Badge 1 for group commissioners, there's a few sessions that are part of Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path. There's all the sessions that are part of Wood Badge 1 for group committee, in addition to these special group commissioner ones as well. So please note that if you have become a group commissioner and you've already completed your Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path, and you've already done your Wood Badge 1 for group committee, the only sessions that you need left to complete, you don't have to redo the other ones. Unless you want to review your learning, you just go to this group commissioner, and these are group commissioner specific sessions. So you can see here, and there's conducting crucial conversations is one of them right here as well. I can see that I've already earned this award through the old center, and this is how you would access that course. Just taking a look here.
A question, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the right spot, but I just want to check. If someone has done the Wood Badge 1 in a lower section like beavers,
Okay.
and I want to use them in cubs, are they fine to just go ahead and use in cubs, or do we expect them to go through the Wood Badge 1 for cub specific section?
Yeah, I mean, so, oh wait, I'm going to just come back in as the new scouter. Oh, we'll just go into, sorry, I've got a lot of test users here. I mean, it's, so I guess you know how to add the additional learning. So, I mean, what I'd recommend is sorry, just going to the content. So like I showed before, there's, they'll have access to the content, the colony, and then if they want to just add the pack and then just do some of the scenario activities for the pack that are pack specific, or, you know, cub specific for the cub age use, they can do that. They don't have to go through, and then they'll already have like the check marks, and so they'll be able to see the dot for the, you know, the new content that's added. It's it's up to them if they kind of want to. We encourage them if they want to just refresh their learning, especially if they haven't done, you know, the Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path for a few years, and they want to just refresh of how it changes, you know, it's kind of the age appropriateness, how it's different. Then they can kind of go back here and do a couple of these sessions. But there's nowhere that it's like required right now. Only if you've done the old wood, like the learning, like, so it has to be like a few years ago now,
Right.
that if they were to switch sections now, they have to, you know, do the full Wood Badge 1 for Canadian Path. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. That's what I suspected, that so long as the Wood Badge 1 in the Canadian Path was done, it's okay for any section. And yeah, we encourage having a look at it and making sure that you're fairly comfortable with things,
Exactly.
but not a requirement per se. Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
June, do you want to ask your question?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
So I have a question just kind of on the roadmap of the tool. And I know when I did training, you were discussing that with the learner progress that we, at that time, GCs could not be limited to seeing just their own scouters. Is there any plan to put that in place instead of seeing everybody? And my second question that ties into that, if we're doing performance management, will there be the possibility of us assigning training to our GCs that will automatically show up for them instead of them trying to have to hunt and find it?
So the answer to your first question, I don't have a timeline that I can share. Yeah, for the kind of looking at the filteredness, to be honest. And so the for the assigning the courses, so in what, like, kind of what, so are you saying for a section scouter to assign them the group commissioner stuff, or because so I guess simple answer, there's no way for a GC or anybody that's not part, like, you can only add learning to your own profile currently. I mean, we have this this kind of like discover tool where they can kind of look at optional training that's available, but in the Wood Badge, the only way to you know, add whether, you know, the different Wood Badges is through this additional learning. So I recommend going to the online sports center and just sharing this, how to access additional learning as part of Wood Badge 1. And this is just kind of provides the easy kind of step-by-step of how to do that. It's just a kind of a few clicks for them to be able to do it. Yeah, so that's the way to do it. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay, thank you. All right. Awesome. So I'll stop sharing my screen here. Thank you so much for listening along. I hope that you guys got at least like a few little tidbits of something that you didn't know before. That will make me happy. And yeah.
Thanks so much, Alicia.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have
Applause.
Round of
yeah.
applause.
And I feel horrible because I mispronounced your name. Can you teach me again how to do it properly so we can thank you properly?
Yeah, no. Alicia.
Alicia.
Alicia. Okay.
I know
Thank you. Sorry.
the J screws everybody up. I know it's not, you're not the only one. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion? If not on this topic, I'll go ahead and stop the recording and we can just, there was a question about the password.
I have one thing to add at the end of this, so just before we end.
Okay.
I think I answered the question about the password. It was for Bev and Ted, and they were just talking about the different passwords between Scouts and the Learning Center. So basically, all Scouters just enter through My Scouts, and it'll automatically be transferred to the Learning Center.
Yeah. And so when it kind of what happens in the back end is it doesn't use the same password that you use for My Scouts, so that just for security purposes, like your password isn't passed on to other systems. Sure. It's like a random automatically generated like crazy number letter combination that just kind of creates that that connection. So that's why if you log out when you're in the Learning Center, it gives you like a login screen, but you have to go back in through My Scouts in order to access. And the reason why I do that as well is when you do your role changes or information changes, when you log in next time, it'll update the kind of the learning that you're enrolled in, and kind of keeps that up to date as well.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before Kate closes up, I just want to share that there will be a national virtual campfire held on May 23rd at 7 p.m. More information will be coming out for this via social media and communication, but just want to share that on May 23rd at 7 p.m. we'll be having a national virtual campfire. If you want to take part, with skits or songs or anything that you want to add, videos, you can send, there's a due date of May 16th, and the email is social@scouts.ca if you want to take part. That's all I have.
So fun.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, that is theft. I out and out planned a virtual camp for that night, I think it is.
Oh no!
And we were going to have a campfire, so maybe I'll just tie it in there.
Yeah, just use that one.
The Battlefields is going to be running it, so it would be kind of cool.
Very cool. All right. Any other questions or discussion around the topics for tonight?
I'm sorry, once again, who was running that national virtual campfire?
It was Battlefields Council.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll go ahead and stop the recording. And if people